What you know about rolling down in the deep? When your brain goes numb, you can call a mental freeze. When these people talk too much, put that shit in slow motion. Yeah, I feel like an astronaut in the ocean. Yeah. What you know about rolling down in the deep? When your brain goes numb, you can call a mental freeze. When these people talk too much, put that shit in slow motion. Yeah, I feel like an astronaut. She says that I'm cool. I'm like, yeah, that's true. I believe in G-O-D. Don't believe in T-H-O-D. She keep playing me down. I'ma play her for fun. You don't really know my mental. Let me give you the picture like stencil.
Hi, this is John Cullen. Welcome to another episode of Web of Deception. I'm joined once again by my co-host Jason Goodman. Jason, thanks again for taking time to walk us through this. This is going to be a big show. This is an interesting twist. These developments are new, and I'm kind of excited about this because we got a lot of interesting characters in the thumbnail. There's a lot of moving parts here. This is the 25th episode of Web of Deception. We've been at this now for 6 months. Our patrons, so we do this for about 25 minutes or so on YouTube. And then we're going to go to a patron-only portion where we've been doing over an hour every single episode. So we've got, this will be 25 hours of patron-only stuff, plus a lot of it was like an hour 20 or so.
Yeah.
And YouTube content, which is, roughly half an hour for 25 shows. That's a lot of content. So, that's bordering like Yellowstone, right? I mean, this is we're getting
Kevin
up there,
Costner.
Right? We should get Kevin on the show. He's got nothing to do now, right? He's just making movies and nobody's going to the movies, man.
Yeah.
We've got to do a show about, because that's your world.
Oh, I know. I speak to all my friends from LA and they're like, you left at the exactly right time. And people can see there's a lot less movies out. It's a much different world.
It's wild what's happening there. And Netflix and Amazon are producing like this independent stuff with these, third tier actors, and it's pretty good. It's like, it's good enough, if they've got good cinematographers and good editors and good color people, and the actors
script. If you have a good story and competent people, you don't need celebrities for something to be. I mean, listen, you know how many people watch our shows and say, oh, I don't watch television anymore, or watch me walking around with Charles. I've gotten so many comments from people where they say, who on earth could have ever thought that a show about two guys walking around New York City could be so compelling? And that's the thing, forever. I mean, when you and I grew up, it was like Channel 2, Channel 4, Channel 7, and then your local affiliates, and that was it. And this explosion of television programming with cable news, and now with live streaming. I mean, the amount of information that people are flooded with, it's interesting to just observe and to think about how that affects politics, how that affects the type of stuff that we're talking about. Because you said something very important at the top of the show, John. You said that this is new information, and you're right. There is new information, but there's something I think even more important about this 25th episode, and asking the question, is General Michael Flynn at the center of the web of deception? A lot of people think that I have been like attacking General Flynn, and they're like, oh, come on, man, we're on the same side, and why are you attacking Flynn? I am not attacking Flynn. And as you know, and most of our viewers know, I supported Michael Flynn when he became the National Security Advisor, and when all that stuff happened with Mike Pence, and even through his whole trial, everything going on with Emmett Sullivan. I went to the trial to Washington, D.C. I sent money to the Legal Defense Fund. I went to that John B. Wells thing. We did an episode about it where I got honeypotted and spoke to Flynn's brother. It was only after I made a public announcement that was intended to be heard by people who are still working towards the same effort that Stephen Biss was, where I was saying, when you focus your life on lying about people and destroying their lives with lies, you become toxic. And there's some people in this thumbnail who this applies to. You just don't know how that...
John?
Yes, Elton John is back.
With the backpack? Yeah. Okay. All right,
I'm going to explain how all of these people are related to one another and how the linchpin between them all is this fucking asshole.
All right, well, hang on, because we're on YouTube, so we don't want to get thrown off. So we want to be, polite, right? This is YouTube is like the country club. Patron only is after hours, right? You can put your feet up on the table. It's fine. I don't really care. But here, let's behave. Sorry. Now let's go one step at a time, though, because there might be people watching going, I've heard of this guy. Isn't he the guy who? But they don't know of his activities in the last 2, 3, 4 years. Oh, and so
wait, there's somebody who's supposed to be in this picture that I forgot. Peter Smith. Damn it. I even cut him out, and I forget why I forgot to put him in there, but I'll explain why he's important. Sorry to interrupt.
It's okay. I'm disappointed you don't have Mindy, because I've seen photos of Mindy with...
well, she's not really in this core group. I mean, so we're going to explain...
Core group. This is a core group.
Yeah.
Right.
We're probably not going to have time to get through all of this on YouTube, but for people who are really interested in this information, and anybody who's out there like, oh, if you guys were patriots, you'd make this free or whatever... We've been through it a million times. We put this kind of information on YouTube, it gets deleted. We put information out for free, and then you and I have no ability to buy food, and within about 2 or 3 months we have to stop doing this and go get a job at Home Depot or the Apple Store or something. And so for people who enjoy this information and really want to go in depth and understand what each of these miscreants did and continue to do that makes them part of this web. This is a network, and it all seems to emanate out from General Flynn. For people who are truly interested in learning about that, they're going to also want us to continue this show, and they're going to become sponsors on subscribestar.com/IamJohnCullen, patreon.com/IamJohnCullen, odyssey.com/@crowdsourcethetruth, crowdsourcethetruth.substack.com, and Subscribestar and Patreon/crowdsourcethetruth. People like it that I'm using the word linchpin. Terrence Howard is going to come after me for using the word linchpin.
He's interesting. All right, so I want to point something out to people, though. The support that we get from the patrons. So we have patrons that support us, $5 a month, $10 a month. Some, step up a bit more because they can. But we don't sell stuff here. You don't sell stuff, I don't sell stuff. So you don't have any supplements. I don't have any, emergency food in the bucket, right? We don't sell it. We don't sell anything. So that's it. So the only stuff that we don't have any sponsors. We don't sell any pillows. We don't sell any slippers. We don't sell any bed sheets. We have nothing. So if you want to go to the Teespring store and buy my crazy shirts and hats, I make that as a goof. I mean, that's just a goof.
It just complicates things.
But wait, people like the hats.
You are raising an important point. You're raising a very important point, John. Because, first of all, the reason we don't do that is because that becomes a separate business where you're in the T-shirt selling business or the coffee selling business or the vitamin selling business, and that's inventory and product and, all kinds of stuff. So we're not doing that. But the other thing that's really important, and it will pertain to what we're going to talk about tonight, is that I want people to understand that we are advertising a subscription video service, and this is how we earn money. Thinking viewers will ask themselves, how do people who appear every day on YouTube or other channels, how are they funding this if they're specifically saying, oh, I'm a patriot and I'm doing this because I don't need money? Are they super rich? I mean, even Elon Musk is all over trying to get people to sign up for things on Twitter, to pay for advertising, to get the premium service, because he's running a business and he knows that if a business doesn't make money, it goes out of business. But enough of that. I want to talk about these people in the thumbnail. Let me know when you're ready to hear about it.
Well, let's start with the big guy on the thumbnail and just give us just a basic history lesson. Take us back to before Trump was nominated. What role was he in? Where was he? What was he doing? Was he in uniform? Doing what? Then what happened? And then what happened? Because I think the history here is kind of important for even for people who kind of are up to date on what's been going on. Let's make sure we're all talking about the same guy here, because this is a key guy in all the Obama Trump developments, and
Yeah.
that baton zone was a key period of time. So can you walk us through that part and then bring us up to date with him, and then we'll go through the other people in the thumbnail.
I think it's important for people to understand that I am not a General Mike Flynn expert. I am not purporting to be a General Michael Flynn expert. I didn't start Crowdsource the Truth or even you and I starting Web of Deception. It wasn't like, ooh, let's do a show about Mike Flynn. And in fact, things that he's done since we started this show have focused my attention on him much more than it ever was before. Like I said, I supported this guy and took him at face value. So some of the answers to those questions that you've just asked, they remain unanswered. But it's important to understand that Flynn and people who don't like Wikipedia, part of the reason I want to look at this is that I do believe it is curated by FBI, DHS, GEC,
I think it's a good place to start as a base.
Yeah.
It's like checking Encyclopedia Britannica. It's the baseline. You start with a baseline, and then you look at this.
I would go
Okay.
further than that. It's like if you know it's lying to you, and we're starting to get a sense of the types of things that it lies about. Like, in other words, there's no Wikipedia page for John Cullen, is there? There's no
of course not.
Wikipedia page for Jason Goodman, is there? I didn't create one. I'm sure I could figure it out if I dedicated myself to it, but I didn't do that. I find certain things have Wikipedia pages, and it's very curious. Now, obviously, Michael Flynn is an international figure. He was in the former president's cabinet, so it's not surprising for him to have a Wikipedia page, but it does give us a lot of general information about him. His father was in the army during World War I, and rather Charles's father, his grandfather. We need to look into some of this background because we're learning a lot of things about the history of World War I and World War II that are
Well, let me
not...
ask you a question. If he's a public speaker, all right, so if he's a member of that agency, you know that agency where everybody goes to
yeah.
work
Yeah,
as
yeah.
a public speaker. I think it's part of
It's
Carlyle
like
Group.
a booking agency or something.
Yeah, and it's part of Carlyle. And everybody who's at Carlyle is part of this. And, it's all the former Treasury secretaries, all the former secretaries of state speak for this company, and they book you, and it's, 40,000 is a thing.
I don't
So
think he's part of
having-
that. He seems like he's on this.
No?
This is
What is it?
Catholic Speakers Organization. I don't know if it's exclusive, but you're right.
Request
Adam Sharp
personal
is also
video.
on one of these
Yeah.
speaker things.
Well,
Right?
the idea is he's probably, if he does books and stuff, he's got a PR agency. I
Right.
had a PR agency. When you had your 3D thing, did you have a PR agency or no?
They called me and wanted to do that, but I just sort of was like, I don't need that. Maybe I would have still be in
I had a
business if
little
had that.
business. I had a little business on the side when I was living in New York, and I spent a couple $1,000 to hire a PR agency to try and publicize the thing and try and, get some buzz about it. So if you hired a PR agency because you're doing a book, having them writing a Wikipedia page would be part of the deliverables. Like if you're going to spend $10,000,
Well,
right?
but for him, it's probably because he was in the government, right? And these speaker
but who's
booking
gonna write it?
agencies. Yeah,
But you
good
get
point.
right down to it. Who the hell's going to sit down and write and then post this Wikipedia page? Somebody got paid to do that. Like he didn't do that. His wife
Yes.
didn't do it. His daughter didn't do it.
I would doubt.
So, like you said, right? Somebody did this, and you don't have one, and I don't have one, but Adam Sharp has one, and David Martin has one.
No, Adam Sharp doesn't have one. That was Adam Sharp's book him to speak at your event thing. But
Oh,
it
okay, I'm
does go
sorry.
into some interesting details. It's basically saying a local girl, there's something going on with a car accident, this whole complicated
Oh.
thing in 1972 at the parking brake, and Flynn and his friend rushed to save two toddlers in the path. I mean, it sounds almost like a comic
married-
book hero.
Look at this. He married the daughter of a prominent Portuguese family. So he married a very wealthy Portuguese lady from Portuguese royalty. So that's
I mean, there's a
interesting.
lot
He went
here
to
to be gone through.
Ireland.
The thing that caught my attention in this was that he had some juvenile. Here it says, on July 24th, 1972, after a local girl climbed into a car and accidentally released the parking brake, Flynn and his friend rushed to save two toddlers. This sounds like this girl was doing something in the car that she shouldn't have been doing, and the parking brake got released, and this whole story got made up. But anyway, they were honored by the local town for this heroism, and Flynn served time in juvenile detention for what he has described as serious unlawful activity in his youth. I find the juxtaposition of these two stories to be deliberate. They want to tell you about how he's a hero, and then, oh, by the way, he did some serious unlawful activity. I'd like to know what that is.
That's interesting.
Because what happens when, like, juvenile detention join the army?
Yeah, well, I was going to say, when you get down to this next paragraph, the second paragraph about him is where we start to learn the stuff that I think, this is the meat on the bone. So he's an ROTC. He graduates with a Bachelor of Science in 1981.
Look at his GPA. He's dumb as a rock.
Earning a 1.2. He struggles academically. So there's rumbles, right? There's whispers about him potentially holding, a serious position. And a guy with a 1.2 GPA,
he's dumb as hell.
He can't figure out how to make a latte.
Did you know that when he insulted me on Twitter, I said to him after Joe made this whole dust up about Stephen Biss, I was asking him about these financial anomalies within the America Project. And first of all, that's a public charity, so they should be prepared to answer for any anomalies or any questions that members of the public might have. And just for people who are unclear on what it is that I've been challenging Flynn about on this, the America Project is a 501c3 public charity run by Joseph Flynn. There's a board of directors there. It's here.
Joseph Flynn is his brother. His brother.
Patrick Byrne, a bunch of these other people who I haven't looked into
yet. This is
important.
So we did this in another episode, but the fact that he's got Patrick Byrne and he's got his brother, and Patrick Byrne is the guy from Overstock.com.
He's actually okay, Patrick Byrne, as a board member, because he's not part of their family. He's considered a disinterested party. So having him on the board is okay. But why is this super millionaire being paid $65,000 of all of we the people's money that are donating to this thing? If Patrick Byrne is super rich from running Overstock.com, I get it that he's working for this, but his work should also be a contribution.
We also found out that Patrick Byrne was born into money. He bought Overstock.
Why does he need this 65 grand? Right.
It doesn't add up. But
the bigger issue, the really big issue here, John, is not fine. Patrick Byrne deserves 65 grand. He gave 3 million. He takes 65, whatever. Let's say that's fine. Why is Joe Flynn paid $0? Oh, well, he's just doing it for free. He's contributing because he's a patriot. No, he's not. Over here in the independent contractors section, this Brisa Suaves LLC, which Joe Flynn is one of only 2 members of, that thing is paid $158,625. Now, let's just say these are the only 2 pieces of evidence that I have about this thing. I have posed the question, why is this the payment procedure for the guy who's supposed to be the director of the company? Why is the director of the company also getting paid as a independent contractor? That's screwy business. And so this is
tax avoidance.
Exactly.
Well, here's what jumps out
That's
at me.
That's our presumption. We don't know. But I asked
if you said to me, based on this evidence, what does it appear you're seeing here? So to me, it looks like Joe Flynn said, if you put $150,000, $200,000.
No, I can tell you why they did it like this, most likely.
Well, let me finish.
This is a reimbursement of expenses that he doesn't pay taxes on. If he reports the taxes for Brisa Suave, says this is a reimbursement, And so he doesn't pay taxes on it. And everybody in the comments is saying it seems like they're laundering money, washing money for millionaires. And I agree.
He doesn't want his name next to 200,000 because then he's going to pay tax on that. Well, if it goes to Brisa Suave,
he's still the member of that. And if he's being legitimate, he would still pay taxes on it. But if he reports it as a reimbursement, and we don't know that he did that. I'm just saying there are questions about this that thinking people who are donating money to this have a right to know the answers to. And when I've asked those questions to General Flynn's lack of intelligence, he didn't say, hey, I'm going to put you in touch with the accountant who's going to explain exactly why it was done this way. We love your support, Jason. Thanks for coming to the John B. Wells. He didn't say that. He said, you're a douchebag, misspelled douchebag, and then blocked me. And the thing that we're going to spend kind of a lot of time talking about in terms of that during the sponsor exclusive segment, which is just 10 minutes away, is that he blocked me a long time ago. This was maybe a year or two ago. And the funny thing is, in May, when I encountered our buddy Norm Eisen on the street, and that tweet went to 2.2 million views, a lot of people were like, hey, what's going on here with Jason Goodman? And Flynn comes out and he says, oh, hey, it's difficult for me to get to this tweet now because he's blocked me.
Didn't he unblock you? But he unblocked you for like a second, tweeted something, and then reblocked it. Wait, wasn't that what happened?
But now when I go look at the tweet that he did on this, see, the thing that's important is this. Let's listen to this for just a second here, because this is my video at NYU confronting Andrew Weissman. And this video is from 2023. Nothing to do with Norm, really.
Well, hang on. Explain to people watching who is Mr. Weissman,
right?
And what is his role? Because you're gonna confront him, but why are we confronting? Like, who is this guy for
Excellent
people who
question.
aren't? Yeah.
Andrew Weissman, pictured right here with the glasses, he was the lead prosecutor in the Mueller investigation, but before that, he's held a lot of roles. Today, he is a law professor at NYU Law, but he was a U.S. attorney in the Eastern District of New York, and he was subordinate to Valerie Caproni, who was the assistant U.S. attorney and the head of the Organized Crime Division from 1988 to about 1998, something like that. She left to do some things and came back, including going to the SEC. But he also took over Valerie Caproni's role as the FBI general counsel when she was kicked out after the House Judiciary Committee found that she had broken the law. So Weissman came in to take...
All right, so hold on. Let me test my understanding here. Once upon a time, Valerie Caproni was at the FBI, and she was the general counsel for the FBI.
Yes.
She gets lambasted because she gets kind of tied up with Gina Haspel and the Abu Ghraib thing.
Well, that wasn't specifically what Congress was upset about that got her kicked out, but that is correct. She's a sinister arch criminal. I just found out something else this lunatic did yesterday.
All right, well, hang on. So she's general counsel for the FBI, right? Our friends who are building this $3.5 billion new place. Yeah. And Weissman works for her at the FBI.
No. Weissman worked for her in the U.S. Attorney's office in the Eastern District of New York. But when she
gets kicked out, he gets her job at the FBI,
replaces her, right?
So he wasn't her subordinate before he replaces her at the FBI?
Wasn't at the FBI before he replaced her at the FBI. They pulled him, I think, from the U.S. Attorney's office. So he's still working for the Department of Justice. I mean, it's a logical pool to choose from. Lawyers within the Department of Justice and U.S. attorneys, of course, are like the highest level lawyers. It's not like just some lawyer working for the Department of Justice. This is like the elite.
Does he have a web page? Does he have a wiki page? Does he have a wiki page that tells us where he went to school and who his mommy is? And who did he marry? You spoke to his mother?
Yeah.
How the hell did you speak to his mother?
I was trying to call him, and this old lady answered the phone, and she was like, pretty loopy. And then I called back, and this Hispanic angry woman answered the phone and obviously didn't want to tell me Andrew's phone number, but I haven't been able to get him on the phone.
All right, so he is, dude, this is a big deal. He is the general counsel of the FBI after Valerie Caprone is the general counsel of the FBI. I mean, these are two major players. This is the lawyer for the FBI.
Yeah, he's done a lot of other crazy stuff. And the aspect of their career that I've just started to scratch the surface of is that this is the crew that is sort of, famously credited with bringing down the Cosa Nostra. And, that was their big thing. And also Rudy Giuliani was in the Southern District of New York, while these guys were in the Eastern District of New York. And remember all of that stuff about Costello being selected by Michael Cohen, because Costello knows Rudy Giuliani. Now, the other thing is he was one of the lead prosecutors in the Enron scandal, and Sidney Powell was part of the Department of Justice at this point, and he went to work for Jenner and Block. He was a lawyer over there, and now he's at NYU Law School as a professor, where they probably pay him a ridiculous amount of money to talk to, to basically lie to a bunch of NYU students for maybe 2 days a week. Then he writes a bunch of bullshit books that everybody buys, and I'm sure he makes a ton of dough.
I think it also says that he's kind of the guy that got Paul Manafort prosecuted. Absolutely. Oh yeah, this is the Get Trump team, and they've been at it from the beginning. And the reason why I'm kicking myself for forgetting Peter Smith from this graphic is that he's incredibly important to this, because, look, all this time I've been thinking about Peter Smith, I've been thinking about, George Webb, I've been thinking about, all this different stuff. But the thing is, Peter Smith, Flynn has been at the center of this Peter Smith story from the very first moment it appeared, because they've been saying that Peter Smith was it was always very vague. They're like, they imply. Look, there it is. GOP operatives sought Clinton emails from hackers, implied a connection to Flynn. Now, and then when you finally showed us that list, I almost fell out of my chair. It looked like something a 7-year-old would have put together. Right. I was stunned when you showed it to us. Right. It was so silly. It was like, really? That's the hot potato here? I was kind of showed it to us.
I found a screen capture from an email. I actually, this was after Charles left. I need to talk to Charles about this. I found a screen capture of a portion of an email from Peter Smith that I believe is to Charles, that says, hey, this guy John Tate put together this report. He's a British intelligence guy. You have to see it, or something like that. So it's Peter Smith,
I got a quick question,
saying that Matt Tate wrote the report, but he wrote
John quick question
Tate.
For you. We've got to go to the patron only portion. I got a quick question, then we got to go over to patron only. But Andrew Weissman, is he the guy who's prosecuting like Peter Navarro and Steve Bannon and these guys? Or who's behind that?
Well, that's a new generation of guys. He's not in the U.S. Attorney's Office anymore. He's not prosecuting anybody. He's just lying to NYU students and collecting rent on these various properties he owns around Manhattan. But, something very interesting came up in the Felix Sader civil trial, which was that Sader, among all of his ridiculous schemes, some of them involved him getting payment in the form of receiving apartments in some of these real estate developments. So it's interesting when you look into some of these assholes who prosecuted some of these guys, they own kind of a large amount of New York real estate. And I wonder how they acquired it. I don't know. I'm not able to prove anything about that. Certainly lawyers and judges earn a lot of money, and they might have just bought these apartments, but I don't know.
All right, very interesting. Well, Felix Sader said to you, I think verbatim, no, DIA.
Exactly.
Michael
But
Flynn.
wait, let's flesh that out for people who don't know what you're talking about. Because
Right.
after that little encounter, which we forgot to play, let's play it. This encounter, because we're going to talk about this in the second part. And for people who haven't seen this, I want people to see it.
So this is at NYU. So set this up. This is at NYU.
Yes.
He's on stage. This is Andrew Weissman, former general counsel for the FBI, now professor at NYU. Haha.
Right.
And he's given a seminar, and you are an NYU alumni.
Yes.
You went to NYU, okay?
Yes.
And you did Spider-Man. Nobody here worked on Spider-Man. You worked on Spider-Man.
They're lawyers.
but you worked on Spider-Man. None of them did. So
yes.
There we go. All right. So that's the setup. Anything
but
else
there's
we
one
need
more
to
thing
going into this? Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because this is also, in addition, he's really more of a media personality than he is an NYU professor. And that should be a consideration at NYU, like how much of his time is really focused on this. Because what this was sort of, I don't know if it was just to NYU alumni or what, but this was semi-open to the public in that they sent me an invitation, and this was a recording of his podcast, which is called Get Trump or something, or Prosecuting Trump or something like that. So he's on stage with this also criminal idiot, Mary McCord, and the dean of NYU Law School. And so they've just been giving this whole, stupid, lie-filled explanation of, this pseudo-lawyer explanation as to why it's proper for Trump to get prosecuted. And I mean, I'm disparaging the guy in a funny way, but the truth is, look at this room is filled with 150 future lawyers. And basically, they're all being trained by Andrew Weissman to not properly understand facts and law. So this is the future of lawyers. Let's listen to what is being said. Is it going?
Okay, it's your time to ask us questions. And let me just remind you that you get the microphones going to hear you. Yes?
First, I want to thank the panel for allowing us all to sit in on this very interesting podcast conversation. I have a question for Professor Weissman. Democrats in Congress, specifically John Conyers, admonished your predecessor at the FBI. John Conyers said she broke the law with the national security letters, violating the Fourth Amendment. Can you tell us, did the members of the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence know of your secret 25-year relationship with the intelligence asset Felix Sader when he testified in 2017?
So I don't know Felix Sader.
Really? You signed an agreement with him in 1998 and another one in 2017.
What did he
It was released
say?
in
What did he say?
2019 by
He
The Intercept.
said-
Why are you lying to these NYU? He said he doesn't know
pause.
Felix Sader, and then he repeats
roll
that
back.
he doesn't.
All right, so roll back. So you asked him a pretty basic question, and you said when he testified in 2017, you didn't disclose that you've known this guy for
I just
something
asked
years.
him. I just asked him, did the House
Okay.
Permanent Select Committee know that this is a guy that you've had a 25-year
You've known.
relationship with?
Okay, gotcha. Okay, fair enough, right? That's a decent question. And you have in your hip pocket evidence of this that he doesn't know that you have. So
Well,
this is why.
No. That's not quite right. I'm asking
No.
a question that I don't know the answer to. I suspect that they didn't know, the House Select Committee did not know that Felix Sader was essentially a cooperating witness.
But you know. My point
Well,
is you have the answer in your
But I
hip
didn't know
pocket.
that he was going to say he didn't know him. I thought he would say, yeah, the House Committee knew. And that
Okay.
would have been the smartest
All
thing
right.
for
All
him to
right.
say, because
Okay,
how could I check
understand.
that?
All right, but I want our audience right here to understand. You have a document
Yeah.
that is signed by
Two
Felix Sader
separate
and Andrew.
documents.
Okay, two separate documents that are signed by Felix Sader and Andrew Weissman. So when he now says, I don't know who he is, you have shown us in previous episodes documents from 1998? I mean, it went back,
and
right?
2017. And he mentions the guy 11 times in his book. Let me play the rest of it, because if people haven't heard this, they'll be quite interested. But with the national security letters violating the Fourth Amendment, can you tell us, did the members of the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence know of your secret 25-year relationship with the intelligence asset Felix Sader when he testified in 2017?
So I don't know Felix Sader.
Really? You signed an agreement with him in 1998 and another one in 2017. It was released in 2019 by The Intercept. Why are you lying to these NYU students, Professor Weissman?
Okay, well, I don't know.
You personally recommended to Robert Mueller. You said in your book that you personally, you said he lied. He said he doesn't know Felix Sader. Read the book that this man wrote. He said that he told Robert Mueller to bring in Felix Sader. Felix Sader is the Russian developer of Trump Tower Moscow. I think you planted an intelligence asset to testify against the rightly elected 45th president of the United States. You, sir, are a fraud. You should be in jail, Andrew Weissman. So that's basically the conversation there.
So this is the former lawyer for the FBI that Jason just shouts down at the NYU thing. But the beauty of this is you have these documents, you have this evidence, this 1998 agreement that Andrew Weissman signs with Felix Sader, and Felix Sader then says to you on the streets of New York outside the courthouse, DIA.
He's adamant about that, because I said to him, you were an FBI asset. He's like, no, DIA. And here's what we're going to get into, because we've got to get over to the sponsor exclusive segment. But just so that people know what we're going to be discussing, this is really the basis for today's show.
Wow.
Because you see, on May 23rd, which is, I think, the day after I had basically confronted Norm. Now, it's true that I did retweet
let's read it. Let's read that tweet. No, let's read the tweet. It's important.
General Flynn says...
Let me read it. I'll read it. This is General Mike Flynn, sends this out on May 23rd. This X post below is epic. For what it's worth, I had blocked Jason Goodman at Crowdsource the Truth for a long time for my own reasons. But I am for exposing the truth. This issue is vital, as is his street confrontation with Norm Eisen, among the architects of the Takeover Flynn movie. Okay.
So he's promoting the movie. And so, see, I want to explain this tweet to people on our sponsor exclusive segment, because I think a lot of people have misunderstood it. And without knowing what has gone on between me and the general and his family and other conversations, some offline, and without understanding everything that we're talking about here on this show, I'm going to explain this tweet to people in a way that I think is going to really surprise people, open their minds to things, and help you understand what's going on. So in just a couple of minutes, people should definitely join us on subscribestar.com/IamJohnCullen, patreon.com/IamJohnCullen, odyssey.com/@crowdsourcethetruth, crowdsourcethetruth.substack.com, and subscribestar.com, and patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth.
This has been Web of Deception. We'll be back with our patrons in just 5 minutes over at Patreon and all that other stuff. I'm John Cullen. Thanks for joining.
What you know about rolling down in the deep? When your brain goes numb, you can call a mental freeze. When these people talk too much, put that shit in slow motion, yeah. I feel like an astronaut in the ocean, yeah. What you know about rolling down in the deep? When your brain goes numb, you can call a mental freeze. When these people talk too much, put that shit in slow motion, yeah. I feel like an astronaut in the... She says that I'm cool. I'ma kill everything like this bird.
It's one small step for man.
What you know about rolling